Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this layered papercraft dream catcher. This is a free SVG available from craftwithsarah.com and it's really beautiful and lovely, and best of all, easy to put together. It comes with a hook at the top of the design so that you can thread some ribbon through so that you can hang it on the wall. Let's find out how to make it. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then get into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of your folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in, and then it should look, if it's going to load, like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, click Cancel down here and then try again and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. This one's looking good though, so I'm going to press Upload, and then once it's uploaded, it will appear in my recent uploads. So I can click it to get that green border and then press Add to Canvas. Here's what the design looks like, and it does load in quite big, so you may wish to resize it. However, I wouldn't recommend making it too small because it is quite detailed with all of this mandala pattern, and also the outlines on the feathers do get quite thin. So I would keep it probably at least, I would say, 5.5 inches wide to be on the safe side. If you're going to resize it, make sure that this padlock icon is closed. Mine's open at the moment, so I need to click on it to close it. You may need to click it twice before it actually shuts, but you can see that change now. So if I was to resize it, let's say just 6 inches wide and press Enter on my keyboard, you see the height change too, so everything remains in proportion. To add a little bit of extra colour to the design, I've put these little coloured circles in the middle of the mandala. I will be showing how to use those in this tutorial. However, please note that these do cut out pretty small, so if you're not sure that you'll be able to stick them, you may want to replace them for perhaps a plastic gemstone or a sequin, or even maybe some glitter glue or Nuvo drops, something like that, to add the colour to the middle instead. If you think you'd prefer to do that and you don't want to cut out the circles, you can simply hide them by hovering your mouse over the layers in the Layers panel and clicking the eye next to all of those little circles. There are quite a lot of them, so it might take a little while, but you can see as I'm doing this, they're being hidden from view on the main design. You've then got the little circles here, and actually it does still look beautiful if you don't have anything there. But I would, just suggest that putting a gemstone or a sequin, something like that on there will help to give it a little bit more sparkle. I'm going to turn these back on because, as I said, I will be cutting them out for this tutorial. There we go. And then there's nothing else for me to do. So I'm just going to click Make It, and it will separate out all my colours. You can change the paper size in this drop down here, and then you can click and drag each of the layers around to use up less space on your cardstock. Just be careful when you're moving things that you don't accidentally overlap any of the cut lines, otherwise it won't cut out properly. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press Continue to connect to your Cricut machine, follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out, and then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here are all of my layers cut out from cardstock, and I've laid them one on top of the other to check I'm happy with the colours and also that I've got everything in the right order. Now, one thing I have already done is glued all of the little circles to the front because I knew that if I didn't, I was going to lose them. So at this point, I would recommend getting all of those little bits stuck on. Now I'm going to move these pieces apart because, as with all layered designs, we want to start at the bottom and then work our way upwards. Here's the first layer, and this one is going to be a foam square layer. So turn it upside down, and then the foam squares I'm using are these ones, and they're quite big. So I have actually opened a second pack and cut them all in half, mostly so that I won't need to use as many, but also it will make it easier to fit into some of these smaller pieces. I'm just going to add all of my foam to here. And you want to add a good amount so that it's going to be stuck really well, because this piece has got to have all of the other layers on top of it. So it needs to be really sturdy. And when you're putting them on, you want to watch a few things. The first is that you put amounts of foam into any large areas. So I put some in the middle as well as around the edge. And that's going to give it stability so that the card doesn't dome down under the weight once we get all those extra pieces on top. The other thing to be careful with is to make sure that you don't put any foam over these gaps, because if you do and it covers up the holes, you'll be able to see the foam once we turn this round and stick it onto that bottom layer, which we do not want. We want that foam to be all nice and hidden. When you've added all your foam pads, peel the tops off to reveal all of the stickiness underneath. I can pick this up now and then line it up with that bottom layer. So the feathers will completely line up with each other, but the middle bit, you'll have a little border of that bottom layer around the edge. And I've just gently laid that down so that if I had misjudged it and it wasn't quite right, I could easily peel it up to reposition it. But that's looking good to me, so I'm going to push down to get that nice and stuck. The next layer for the top of the dream catcher is this one, which will be another foam square layer. So let's turn it upside down and get those foam squares back out. Well, mine are foam rectangles because I've cut them in half, which was definitely a good thing for this design, as there's not a lot of room on the back of here. Once again, make sure you don't put your foam over any of the holes, and then make sure there's a good amount on there. Right, let's put this on, and you want to line it up so that the pattern matches what's underneath. So you can see all those little shapes and layers in the holes. If I bring that up closer, you can see a little bit clearer what I mean. The final layer for the dream catcher is the thin one, and this is a glue layer because it is so narrow, it would just be too difficult to get all of the foam in there. The glue I like to use is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some other glues can do. And then I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles, which have really, really thin nozzles on them, making them perfect for getting the glue into things like this. Right, now I need to try and stick this on without getting glue all over my fingers. Okay, I want to line it up so I've got my green circles on the left because it matches the feathers. And then really helpfully, those little yellow ones tell me where the top and the bottom is so that I can line this up. Okay, that is looking really pretty. Now we need to add the feathers. There are a couple of ways you can do the feathers. You can either glue the bottom one and then add foam for the top bit, or you can use foam for both bits, or glue for both bits, or you can foam the bottom and glue the top. So really any of those are going to look really, really nice. I'm trying to decide which one I want to do. I think I'm going to foam the biggest bits because they're bigger, so it'll be easier. That's the middle one. And then glue the other bits on top. Let's give that a go. I'm running out of foam squares, hoping I've got enough. Might be a little bit cautious and just do 2 pieces on each. Okay, so that's the middle one. And then I'll glue the detail bit on. These would actually be a little bit tricky to get foam on as they have that little cut down the middle. But you could definitely do it if you wanted to add that extra depth. There we go. And now the green one should be my left one, which is why I've got the little green dots that side. Oops. That one's going to go there, and then glue the green piece on top. Yours might not be green, of course, because you can cut it in whatever colour you like. It's that one. And then finally my red feather. I got another piece. Yes, I do. This is going to sit on the right hand side like that. And then finally, some glue on that one. Put that in the middle. And there is my lovely Dreamcatcher layered design all ready to thread some ribbon through the hook, and then it can be hung up on the wall. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a papercraft Dreamcatcher using your Cricut machine. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. Thank you for watching. Bye!